So let's submit the database into WordPress and let's see how you can store the data that the people submit in a database, in the form to the database. So we're gonna be using another file, and I'm gonna right click here, and I'm gonna call this reservations.php. Again, we're gonna open the functions, we're gonna copy this, and we're gonna change the file to reservations. So let's open the reservations, and we're gonna be using a PHP block, and we're gonna be using a function. Again, it's always a good idea to use this namespace in your functions. So for example, here in the functions.php, you can see that all the functions use the same namespace. So that's something really cool. So next we're gonna add save reservation. It's a really big name, but this is what this function will do. Next we're gonna create use the global WPDB, and let's start working with this example. So WordPress uses something called event-driven architecture, and for example, when a user submits a form like this one, the user is performing an event, so WordPress reacts to that event. In these days, it's really popular the term of MVC, the model view controller, but WordPress uses the event architecture. So for example, we're gonna be using something like an if is set post submit, and maybe we can change this value because we have another submit fields. So for example, I'm gonna open the page reservation, and I'm gonna change this to reservation. So maybe we can add this right here. And you can see that in the previous videos, I added this input hidden. So we're gonna check that this value is also added, or this action is also performed. And post hidden, the hidden field, you can see that we have name here, and the value 1 is equal to 1. So we're gonna, that means that the form has submitted. And that means also that we are not being, well, people is not using an automate script to fill this form. They are performing actually the filling the form, and then they're clicking the send button. So let's read these values. For example, I'm gonna add name, the variable name, and we're gonna read the name right here. You can see you always read from the name attribute. So we're gonna add post name. So next we're gonna create a copy of this, and we're gonna create 4 more copies. The next one is the date that we have here. So we're gonna change this to date. And this one is using the name date. Then we have the email. So we're gonna change this to email. I'm changing the post also. And we're gonna copy this to the phone number. And finally, we have the message right here. So we're gonna copy this message. So now we're reading all the values that the user submits in the database. You can see that we're using the global WPDB. So we're gonna create a new table, a new variable called table. And then we're gonna paste this WPDB right here. And we're gonna be using again prefix. This way we're reading the value of the prefix, or this prefix that we have here. So we're gonna insert this record into the reservations. We're gonna add reservations. Have to make sure that you are typing the name right here. You don't have to add WP underscore, you only have to add the name. So next we're gonna add a new array. data equals to an array. WordPress requires that you format this using an array, and it's always a good practice to store this in an array. Then we're gonna add name, and in this case we're gonna be using the name of the tables. So for example, I'm gonna click here, and you can see here on the structure, the first one is called name. You don't have to add the ID. Since this is using the auto increment, the value of this is going to be added by the database. But we're going to be using name, and the value is going to be this variable. So next we add a comma. Then we have date, and we're going to copy in this date. Next we have the email, and we're gonna copy this, paste right here. Next we have the phone. You can see here. We're gonna copy this variable. And finally we have the message. So we're gonna copy message and the variable message. Next we need to specify a format. Format equals to an array also. And the format is if this data is an string, an integer, a boolean, or something like that. And the syntax is really simple. You only add single quotes, the percentage, and S. S stands for a string. So we're going to be using S for all of these. So copy and paste, and remove the final comma right here. So we have 5 strings in the format array. So next we're going to perform the insert. WPDB insert, and this insert function is thanks to this global WPDB. So this way you insert data into a custom WordPress table. If you are using the standard tables, you don't have to, you have to do if you're using a form like this one, but remember that WordPress has the WP query functions and things like that. You normally don't use selects or inserts or updates. So this insert function requires 3 parameters. The first one is the table. You can see that we're grabbing the table name right here. Next is the data that you want to submit. You can see that we are formatting the array right here. And finally is the format. So this is a pure string data. String, another 5 strings. So finally, and I think this is it for this function. We're gonna make some considerations in the next video. So let's save this and reload. And let's make a small test. We're gonna add our name. Then we can click here on this triangle and select a date and add at the time. I'm gonna create a new email, my email.com, and we're gonna create a new form. Hello, and we're gonna click here on send. So now you can see that this is taking us to the blog, but maybe, let's open PHPMyAdmin and let's click here on browse. And you can see that the submission wasn't presented. And if I open the reservations.php, is because I created this and I didn't hook this into WordPress. So that's the importance of hooking your functions. This way WordPress will be aware that this function exists. So I'm gonna hook this into the init, and I'm gonna open contact us again. We're gonna fill this again. It's something really fast. Then 30 p.m. Hola, my email, a number, hola, and send. So you don't have to worry for this blog page. We're gonna fix this in the upcoming videos. But let's open reservations again and click here on browse. And now you can see that we have ID 1, we have the name, my name, the date is right here, the email also, the phone, and the message. So this is the way that you handle submission from your custom tables, your custom forms in your custom tables in WordPress. The same goes if you want to populate a custom post type. In the upcoming themes for this course, I'm going to show you how to populate a custom post type or a post or a page using this technique. But in the next video, we're going to take into consideration some security, because you can see that we are passing the post into these variables, and then we are inserting this into WordPress. So we're going to take a look at the WordPress sanitization functions to make this form more secure. So let's continue working in the next video.